Hello, my name is Ilona. Today it's Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022, and I'm doing a recap of my Dutch video. So if you want to see me shuffle the cards, you can see that in the Dutch video. I've talked about a clip I shared this morning from Tucker Carlson, who is openly connecting the elite with children. He's talking about Epstein, but also about a commercial from a brand called, let's see, Balenciaga. And in the photograph, there's a child, and the child has a teddy bear with bondage gear, which is just a very strange combination. And there's also visible a portion of a court document that has a reference to another Supreme Court case, Ashcroft versus Free Speech Coalition, in which the court struck down a portion of the CPPA of 1996 that has to do with prevention and children, and said that virtual things with children is protected speech, which is just insane in itself. It's very strange that they're showing this now. This feels to me like a white hat action. So this is part of the white hat agenda to show people. So people that are not even aware of this are now seeing the connection between the elite and between the children. That's going to be very tough for a lot of people to handle, but it's necessary that they start showing this. So of course, when everything is coming out, it won't be that much of a shock, although I think it's going to be shocking. It's going to be shocking nonetheless, but people need to understand what's been going on for such a long time. So I find this very interesting. I think more and more things are going to come out with children and what's really been going on for a very long time. In my video, I first looked at D66, which is a Dutch political party, the Democrats 66. Very interesting number if you look at that. And there was some media coverage as well about D66, that apparently this political party has like people everywhere in key positions. So not just in the political field, but also the, how do you say this, with the justice system and cultural systems. I didn't even know they were all on all these positions, but it's very interesting that it's coming out in the Dutch media. They were talking about this. But the most interesting thing that D66 wants to do is actually certain political parties in, how do you say this, make sure that they can't, that they are forbidden. They want to be able to get rid of certain political parties, and most likely they're talking about Forum for Democratie with Thierry Baudet, who is very open about a lot of things that, of course, happening in the Truther community, and is really speaking out about these things. And D66 has decided they probably just want to get rid of him, so they want to come up with a proposal that certain political parties should be banned, which will be, of course, the end of democracy. But let's face it, we're not living in a democracy, but that's the puppet show that they are showing to other people. And now it's making very clear that really that's not what's going on. And there was media in the media as well asking people on the streets what they thought about this. And there were a lot of people asking, like, well, where does it stop? Is D66 going to be the only political party left? Because who's going to decide that? And there are people voting for that political party. So you actually are taking away their voice as well. So there's a lot of interesting discussion now going on. And I wanted to take a look at the energy. To me, this feels like a white hat operation as well, because this is so clear where this is going. And the first card I got was the Three of Pentacles. The Ace of Cups, which is obviously also a yes to this was my feeling, and the cards are kind of confirming that. The Strength card in the past, we have the World card underneath the Ace of Cups, and we have the Ace of Swords and the Hermit for the near future. I also was looking at the back of the deck, and I just kept seeing the High Priest. So this is really about showing the dark energies what they really wanted to do. I don't believe that the dark energies would be this obvious. They've been working in the shadows for so long, and that was their protection. Nobody knew really about them. and it's now showing that's really what they want, is to just get rid of political parties. Let's face it, we're not living in a democracy, and it's shown now to people that really that's what's going on. So this is a yes to the feeling that I'm getting, or at least that this really is a white hat operation as well. This is to show people, to wake people up, to show people the truth, a new truth, what's really going on. Let them find answers in themselves, not look outside of yourself anymore. I think this really shows that this entire political system has to completely change. We will start voting for policies. What do we want? Things, what do we want in our country or in the region we live in? What do we want to change? What do we want things to happen? Then we'll see who will fit that, that will be able to execute that policy. And of course, there will be accountability. So if that person hasn't done that in like a year or 2 years, someone else will come in. This isn't about voting for political parties anymore or certain people. This is really a change. Things has to fall apart. This also feels like working in the background to show people this. And we are now really in the phase where there are a lot of truths coming out. This is about a new world we want to enter. So all these old systems have to collapse. They have to fall apart. We have to really start new. We have 2 aces. So this is about a new beginning. Truthful new beginning, and of course also more of an emotional connection and a connection with other people. We need to get rid of this corrupt system. We need to start looking at a political system that helps us, that supports humanity, that doesn't support one group and have all these people in key positions, because that's quite frightening. Well, it's almost like really they're the only party in the Netherlands. So why are all these people doing there? So that was very interesting that the Dutch media covered that. At least they were talking about this. Well, why are these people in all these key positions? And this will bring a bigger awareness that there are a lot of people in all kinds of key positions if you just really truly look at things. Very interesting. The second thing I looked at was the G20 about the passport. I got a lot of messages from people sending me this, that they apparently approved this passport. Of course, they want everything connected to this passport. So you won't be able to travel. You won't be able, most likely, to get food. You won't be able to reach your bank account without this passport. And of course, there are strings attached to this passport. So I taken a look at it. The first card I got was the 2 of Pentacles. The central card is the 4 of Swords. Card in the past is the Tower. Underneath the central card we've got the Knight of Swords. And then in the future, near future, we have the King of Swords and the Page of Cups. To me, this feels like they're still trying. In a way, it's also showing people. People need to experience this. I've mentioned this many times before. If you told people 4 years ago, and there were people already awake that this was going to happen, nobody believed them. But they've experienced the last 2.5 years, or the last 4 years. Of course, the last 2.5 years were very important. So people now understand that they are capable, and I'm talking about the dark energies and all these puppets, are capable of locking us up, coming with passes. In the Netherlands, we had passes as well. It was still just for the, if you wanted to go out to restaurants, but still it was there. In other countries, it was even stricter. So people were confronted with that. So an entire group of people weren't able to go anywhere or to enter anywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, even in the USA today, you cannot enter if you haven't gotten the sting, which is very insane with all the information coming out. But this is really, I think, one of the last things they have, and it's just a declaration. People have to understand, even if they sign that, that doesn't mean that it's going to be here in like 3 weeks. We're not going to immediately implement that in the Netherlands. It still has to go through our Tweede Kamer, our Senate. It still has to go through things. And I've also saw an article that especially the Dutch people are sick and tired of these things and are not getting them anymore. So you have this enormous group of people here in the Netherlands that are not up to date. So if these passport by any chance would be, you know, implemented, a lot of people won't be able to travel or do things anymore. And then there's going to be an issue that, of course, with money, people will not be spending any money because they won't be able to go anywhere. But I don't think it's going to go this far. People will not tolerate it. And especially because a lot of people are now at the point they don't want any more stings. So the people that have gotten them and are now like, no, we don't want a fifth one, a sixth one, or whatever, we're not going to get it. So this entire, if they really wanted to implement this, they should have done it about, you know, a year ago, maybe even longer ago, when we were still inside. There were still a lot of people afraid, were actually getting the stings. Then they should have implemented it. Then they could have pushed it through, so to speak, if they were truly in control. They didn't, because I don't think they had that control at that time. And now it's too late to me. It feels like this is too late. They're running behind the facts. It's like they're chasing their tails in a way. It's not going anywhere, because there's a group of people here, at least in the Netherlands, not prepared to get another sting. So this entire pass is going to fall apart then, because then you have a large group of people you won't be able to control, because they want access to the supermarkets, they want access to the public transport. So you're not going to hold them down, obviously. But also things with the stings are coming out now. People are starting to see that the people, you know, we still have this surplus of people dying. We have this sudden death, and we have all these things happening. People are starting to connect the dots. They are starting to understand it has to do with, of course, the sting. Then, of course, people are now looking back at all these policies they had to try to limit things and try to, you know, how do you say this? They brought this out as our safety. That is really ridiculous. It's completely insane. And of course, the entire pass fell apart because they admitted that it doesn't stop transmission. So if you get the stings, you can still, you know, infect someone else. It doesn't stop anything at all. So this entire premise they had, like, well, if you got the stings, you have the right to have this pass because then you're safe and you cannot infect anyone else, is just rubbish. And people are starting to understand that. It's coming out now. So this entire momentum they had, so to speak, is gone. So if you want to implement this, it's not going to go anywhere. So to me, this is really a white hat thing. In a way, the dark energies are trying to show themselves. They're still trying to create fear because they need that energy as well. So they're trying to, and the white hat's kind of like, you know, show the people, just let them sign these puppets, and so people will see this is really about health. This is really, they're not here for your health. They are here for the disease. They are here to keep you as sick as possible so they can manipulate you. This is really what this is about. So this is in a way a very cunning thing to show, and it's up to us to understand that it's, to me, the first thing I've read about this, I was like, well, is this binding? Does this have any authority? And what I can see, it's just a declaration. Yeah, they want to, of course, implement these puppets. Obviously, we've known that. It's not something that is, they've been trying to work towards this, but it's completely falling apart. And if they truly wanted to implement this, they should have done this sooner. They should have done this when everyone was still locked up and people were still listening to this fear mongering from their side, that they needed to get the stings, they needed to get protected. There were still people actually agreeing with this and agreeing that certain people shouldn't go somewhere. It's kind of falling apart now. Even people that may still think like that, there's a large group doesn't want to have anything to do with the stings anymore, is really seeing that this is all nonsense. So it's all falling apart. And I think this is just to show people that's what this is about. Like I mentioned before, you can tell people, they won't believe it, but if they experience it, then they know. And what they'll do with it, of course, there will be people still not believing, still not wanting to see. They've got their blind spots, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I see a lot of people waking up now. So I'd like to leave it at this and hope to see you in another video. Bye.